Welcome to Show Em The Dore, the only podcast that still produces in a monsoon. I'm your very damp host, Christopher Conway, and this is my even damper host, Willem Azzinnaro. He's elected to wear my jacket for this podcast because we decided we weren't going to wet t-shirt contest our viewers.
I'm moist.
I was walking here today, and I'm telling you, the amount of water that was purely on the sidewalks, there was a waterfall. I've never seen a waterfall on campus, but today was the day. My socks are really, really wet. My feet feel terrible. I feel awful. I am gross. We're going to have a wonderful episode today. We have, today was supposed to be an episode with Ben Cox. We're sorry about that. He had a mandatory meeting that he was told about this morning, and so he had to cancel on us, but he said he is committed to coming next week. We're sorry that we had to kind of push that down the line a little bit, especially because, we've been talking about him for a long time now. But he will be on the podcast next week, barring some unforeseen circumstance that happens. But today, we have a few games to talk about. We have 4 men's basketball games and probably roughly the same amount of women's basketball games, if I had to guess. And I actually have nothing negative to say throughout all of the men's basketball games. So, Willem, do you have anything else before we start getting into the actual things that happened?
Nah. If you didn't see our episode with Cam Johnson, it was really cool. So
our audio will be better in this episode.
I promise.
We had so I'll give you guys some insight into what happened there. So we've been trying for weeks and months to get a splitter and a third mic for the camera that we have. And we kept getting the wrong things from Amazon, and then we finally got the right splitter, and then the mic that we had bought had used phantom power or something like that, which draws power from the camera itself instead of a battery. And so it didn't work, and so we had to order a new mic, and we finally got everything for the Cam Johnson episode last week, the day before, and we tested it and you could hear everything. The only difference was I was the one on the new mic, which I am now, just because we wanted to test it on a full episode. But we gave it to Willem last episode, which was a distinct mistake. Willem is always louder on the mics, and so he was very the mic just couldn't get all of the information that he was saying. And it was overall just not a good time. But we now have a process. I will be using the new mic in every episode with a guest. And then after this one, I'll be using it. We won't even be using the new mic in episodes of just Willem and I. So overall, I think that's pretty much it. But it was a great episode with Cam. He's a great guy. You guys should still follow him on Instagram and Twitch. And we hope to have him on the show maybe more in the future. I feel like we missed a couple things that we could talk about. And he was great. So we hope to have him again. So I guess, do you have anything but now before we go into basketball or no?
No.
Okay. So there were 4 men's basketball games, and we won 2 and lost 2. However, the 2 that we lost were to Tennessee and Auburn. Tennessee has been on an absolute tear as of late, winning their last 8 SEC games and having just beaten the living heck out of Kentucky, who was at the time the number 4 team in the nation, as well as Auburn, who is the number 2 team in the nation, who, they don't really lose ever, especially when they have a guy that's shooting Kevin Durant shots as per last night. But we'll go through them by game, and then we'll talk about what happened and what went right, what went wrong. And so the first game that we were really excited to talk about last week, but because we had Cam on, we didn't talk about games, was the LSU game. So LSU at the time was ranked number 25 in the nation, and that was the night that we were retiring Shane Foster's jersey. And it was just overall really it was the stands were packed. It was really cool. Willem and I were sitting at mid-court behind the announcers, and it was a lot of fun watching. I don't think there was a time that we were considerably losing in the game, we were controlling it pretty much throughout. There was a time that we distinctly lost control of the game, and we couldn't get the ball up the court for like 3 straight possessions. And they almost came back, but we ended up solidifying the deal in the end. We won that game. It was like our first ranked win in 3 years. It was a really, really good atmosphere, great win. It was like Rodney Chapman went crazy in that game. He must have had, I think he had 24 points, and that man was just draining threes. It was like if he was open and took a 3, it was going in. It was a great game. There was a lot of LSU fans, and I know they started a chant at one point of like LSU when they were starting to come back, and then Vandy like sealed the deal, and then everyone started waving bye and stuff to him. It was a great game. There wasn't really anything I could complain about in that game. Our guards played really well. Our bigs played really well. It didn't feel like we were out-coached. I know Will Wade, who is the coach of the LSU Tigers, was first of all going nuts about a million things during the game. And before, he was actually talking about how he felt like Vanderbilt was like getting too many fouls, like we were at all preferred by the refs. Which, if you know anything about SEC play in any sport except maybe baseball, we don't get preference in things, especially not basketball or football for that matter. But that's not the point. And so it was funny whenever a foul was called on LSU, he would just go nuts. It was really fun to watch. But we ended up winning that game, and it was overall just a really fun atmosphere. What do you think of that game?
Yeah, it was great, especially considering what a great team LSU is. Mm-hmm. Like they were top 25. They had gotten these weirdly big wins. Like they beat Kentucky, they beat Tennessee. They're a top defensive team. I think they're top 3.
Yeah.
It's crazy, like how we just beat the brakes off of them for a long time.
We just kind of manhandled them.
There were skids where it's like, yeah, this is a top 25 team we're playing. And they are, a top 3, number 1, number 2 defense, where we just couldn't get the ball up the court. But we figured it out. We got around things, and overall, we just absolutely kind of killed them. Mm-hmm. They were on a losing streak at that point. I think we gave them their 4th straight loss. So they weren't really hot. They're a good team nonetheless, though. Yeah. And it's a great win to build off of and keep going with.
Right. And so then after that, we played Missouri. And we just straight up beat Missouri kind of in the same way. Yeah. The first 2, if we had an episode where we talked about games last week, there would have been nothing for me to complain about in any of the games because we just controlled the game the entire game for all pretty much of the 80 minutes between the 2 games of basketball, we controlled it for like 75. Everybody who started in the Missouri game had double-digit points. Q had like 11. Miles Studi had like 14. Obviously, Pip got his like 20 or something like that. Rodney Chapman had 11. And then who am I missing? Studi, Chapman, Pippen, Q, and who am I missing?
Jordan Wright.
And Jordan Wright, yeah. And Jordan Wright had I think 12 or 13. When you have 5 people in double figures as like Vanderbilt, you're going to win the game because they can't just focus on Pippen, and it just caused us to win. Conzo Martin, who is the coach of the Missouri Tigers, is a really good defensive coach. Missouri is a good defensive team. They don't have the offense to back it up, especially with somebody like Pinson leaving and going to Auburn this past offseason. But I think that we were just easily the better team that day. And it was, throughout my Vanderbilt career in both basketball and football, it doesn't seem like we're the clear better teams in a lot of instances. And seeing like 2 consecutive wins, I feel like is a lot to build off of. Mm. So our 3rd game was against the University of Tennessee, who were ranked number 19 at the time. And we started off looking so bad. We were down at the half by like 12 or 14. We couldn't stop Kennedy Chandler, Zakai Ziegler. We were just our guard play is easily stronger than our post play, and we were getting beat in our guards, which if that happens, Vanderbilt doesn't win. But in the second half, we looked so much better. I think we ended up losing by something like 11, but with 4 minutes to go, we were within 4. We were at one point within 2, and the turning point in the game was at this point, actually. So Scottie Pippen, who was going crazy this game, man had like 29 or something like that, he got an and one, and he went to the free throw line. If he hit the free throw, it would have put us within 1. And he missed it, and then he did the only problem I have with Scottie Pippen Jr.'s game ever is he has the weirdest frustration fouls where he feels like, in my opinion, that he has to do so much to make up for like a mistake that he just puts his team sometimes in a very, like, in a worse position. Yeah. And this was one of those times. Like, also, I'm not trying to bag on Scottie Pippen Jr. It's just that that's what he does. And so he missed the free throw and then went around to try to get the steal and fouled, I think, Kennedy Chandler or Josiah Jordan-James, who both of whom are very good free throw shooters, and they just got a free 2 points and just essentially gave the possession back whenever, we had been making significant progress. And then you could, I think Scottie Pippen committed a turnover or something happened, and then Kennedy Chandler had 6 straight points. And that just kind of iced the game. And I really feel like if he makes that free throw and we're allowed to get into our half-court set, I think there's a chance we continue that momentum and we make that game considerably closer. If not, we win the game. But I think that Stackhouse outcoached Rick Barnes in that game. He went... I guess I don't know if it'll show in the box score in terms of points from first to second half, but Vanderbilt was a much better team in the second half. Considerably better. And I think that Vanderbilt has to be proud of that. I think that, at this point we're contending with top teams, and we'll get to that even more in a second with the Auburn game. And I think that if you can contend away with the top SEC teams, I think that we should start to be considered for a tournament team, especially if we win out with the teams that we play, because none of the rest of our teams are ranked that we play. I think our most dangerous game, is against Alabama, who I think Alabama is a very hit-or-miss team, and when they hit, they are a very hard-hitting team. Yeah. But if we can win out, and then we can win 1 or 2 games, or maybe just 1, considering that we'll probably be, the 10th seed in the SEC tournament, so we'll play, 3 or 4, which will be Tennessee, or I don't know. I don't know who's after that. Maybe LSU. That'd be really sick. But if we can win a game or 2 in the SEC tournament, I think that would solidify us as a tournament team. And I think this team deserves it. We at least deserve to go to the NIT. I think that's pretty much locked at this point. Yeah. Assuming that we don't have some breakdown in the next few games. But I guess our final game was against Auburn. And we went out on an 11-0 run to start the game versus Auburn. And it was interesting because we had to match up with the size of Auburn. So actually Q and Liam Robbins got the start. And we started off really, really good. And then, what's the guy's name that's really good on Auburn?
Jabari.
Yeah, Jabari Smith. Jabari Smith turned into Kevin Durant for a game. When I'm telling you, this man would shoot from a good 10 feet behind the college three-point line, and he would just lace it. It was like we'd build momentum, and then he would do that. Or the kid with the really baby face, last name Wheeler.
The little kid?
Yeah, the little kid. Man would do something crazy. And, we just got out-talented versus Auburn. And I don't think that that's terrible to say. I think Auburn has some supremely top-tier talent. Yeah. And we got out-talented. But the fact of the matter is, we were competitive with them through, I think, 31 or 2 minutes of the game. Mm-hmm. They started pulling away in the second part of, the second half of the second half. The last 10 minutes. And, putting up 30 good minutes against the number 2 team in the nation, I don't think that's too terrible an ask for a third year under Jerry Stackhouse. Yeah. It gave me plenty of faith. I think Bruce Pearl is a great coach, as much as I hate him because I'm a Tennessee fan from a childhood. But I don't think that there was anything bad that happened. The worst thing that happened along these 4 games is in this last game, Rodney Chapman got hurt. And we hope Rod gets better. He is a winner at heart. He played with, I think, Dayton last year. And, he only lost like a couple games.
Yeah.
He's not used to losing. And I think with Rodney Chapman in our lineup, we are a considerably better team. I hope that based on the fact he's been hurt a majority of this year, he might be able to get a medical red shirt and come back next year. Because I don't think he is this would be his last season of eligibility, but I don't think that he has made himself like NBA draft worthy by any means. And I think that if he is given the opportunity to get a medical red shirt and come back for one more season, I think that if him and even like Scotty stay, we could be a legitimate top 5 team in the SEC.
Yeah.
So we hate to hear that from Rod, but I know that our guard play, I think Shane Dezzoni deserves a lot of minutes.
Yeah.
He has put in some great minutes for us in these last few games, and I think that he should be our first guard off the bench. But with that being said, that's what happened in men's basketball this week. Overall, only positive things to say. So, what about women's?
Yeah. Before we move on there, I'm looking at Rodney Chapman's career history, and he's played since 2016. He put in a solid 30 games a season until 2020. He played 12 in the abbreviated year, and then he played 10 games last year. So he's been playing inconsistent amounts of games the past 3 years. This year he's played 6 so far. Last year he played 10. The year before he played 12. Mm-hmm. So, you got to bear in mind 2021 was COVID.
He's played more than 6 games this year, right?
He's played 6 games.
So doesn't those stay at home? I think he's played more than 6 games.
Oh, look, is that 2021, 2022?
Yeah, he's played 10 games.
I'm a fool. He's played 10 games this year. Last year he played 12.
Yeah.
In the abbreviated year, he actually played 31, which is the full amount, including his tournament. So this year and last year, he just hasn't played a bunch of games, but he has played well. He's shooting 40% from the field, 41% from the 3-point line.
Yeah,
like he's getting rebounds, assists. He's a really good player.
Yeah, definitely.
So it'll be interesting to see what his history entails. But bottom line, if he is here, we will have a better chance at success.
True. 100%.
Because he's just that guy.
He is that guy. Rod is that guy.
Yeah.
So with that being said,
moving on to women's basketball. I believe we haven't talked about the last 4 games, all of which were losses.
Oh.
It's not great. It puts us down to 3-6 in the conference, and I think we're the second bottom team. So it's not optimal, especially after we had just stopped a 5-game losing streak.
Yeah.
We lost 5, won 2, lost 4. So, it's not great, but it's still a building year. You got to bear that in mind. First game was against number 14, Georgia.
Oh, okay.
So it's a really good team. Looking at the game cast, it was pretty close until the fourth quarter. It was a 1-point game, 2 minutes left in the third quarter. At the beginning of the fourth quarter, it was only a 6-point game, and then they just absolutely took off.
Yeah.
We didn't score for a long time. It's tough. It's the number 14 team in the nation. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. We're barely a 500 team. It's to be expected. Looking at the box score, just our usual play, the same old lineup we always do. We had solid contributions from everyone. Like, we had, reading down the list, 12, 13, 9, 10 points. But nobody, went off. And I feel like that's key to success just in most sports.
Yeah, we don't have the depth that it does have.
Oh, yeah. If we all score 10 points, we're going to hit 56 points. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was 56-71 was the final score. Not very great. But the opposing team, Georgia, shot 12% from the 3-point line. 2 of 16. So that sucked.
Yeah.
Those bums. Our shooting wasn't that great, It was just an overall okay game for us against a much better team. Mm-hmm. So we do need someone to go off. And I think we have the people capable of that. It just didn't happen, which is okay.
Yeah.
Next game was against Alabama. That was an overtime game.
Oh,
It
wow.
was so close. Look at this. It's a 1-point game at the first quarter. It's a tie game at halftime. Tie game at the end of the third quarter. Tie game at the end of the fourth quarter. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, that's crazy.
And then in overtime, they just took us over. We lost by 6. It was 77-71. Our three-point shooting was really bad this year, especially for a team who typically makes a lot of threes. We were 4 of 21. That's 19%. You know, it's not terrible, but it's
That
definitely
is
not
terrible.
leading you to a win.
That is terrible. 19%?
It's pretty darn bad.
Yeah.
So what's interesting about this game is this was the start of Demi Washington's weird minutes. She put in 11 minutes this game. Typically, she puts in 30. She's one of those, you'll play 3/4 of the game, you'll get subbed out, you know what I mean, type of athletes. She played 11 this game. She had no points. She had 2 fouls, so I don't think it's the fouls that took her out. So, you know, interesting. Instead, we had Sasha Washington, the freshman, SEC co-freshman of the week a couple weeks ago, which is super great. Shout out to her.
Also, she has a C in her name, by the way.
Yeah, Sasha.
Yeah, it's SASCHA.
No, it's SACHA.
Is it really?
Sasha.
I thought it was SAC.
Come on, son.
My bad.
So
No disrespect.
she put in 36 minutes, 15 points, 16 rebounds.
Oh, wow.
She's a unit.
Yeah.
So it makes sense that you're taking out some people and putting her in.
Right.
It gives us a bigger lineup, gives us 3 forwards. Also to be noted, Kaylin Smith put in 0 points in 21 minutes. So when people are off, we know we can put in Sasha,
Yeah.
who's a unit, apparently.
Yeah.
She was like a highly touted recruit, so like it makes sense that she's putting in that good stuff. But you know, okay game, down to the wire a bit, and then we played Texas A&M.
Are they ranked?
No,
Ooh.
they're not that great.
Looking at the score, that's... Ooh.
Yeah, we also kind of got killed. It was 76-58. It wasn't that bad until the fourth quarter, and they beat us by 9. But it was overall not a great game at all.
No.
We shot 32% from the field, 28% from the three-point line.
So we just can't make any shots.
There lies the issue. And sometimes that will happen, but we'll have good defense. But no, they put in 76 points. Again, Demi Washington put in 11 minutes. We took her out. Sasha Washington put in 20 minutes. She had 7 rebounds and 8 points.
That's not bad.
That's nice. Especially considering most of our players weren't playing that well. Like Ayanna Moore, who I think the strategy at this point should be get Ayanna the ball always. When should we get Ayanna the ball?
Always.
Always. She put in 36 minutes, had 9 points. She shot 8 shots. You know? It's interesting. You know, nobody really excelled these past few games except Sasha that one game. So when we don't have one person leading the pack, it doesn't matter if you have a pack. And this game, we didn't even have a pack. We put in 4, 12, 9, 2, and 13. So
You
that's
don't
not
win
great.
with those numbers.
Yeah, this isn't. It just wasn't great whatsoever. And then we played the number 13 Tennessee Lady Volunteers.
The Lady Vols.
Yeah, we lost to them.
They're a good team.
They're a good team. It was just overall.
Kelly Harper.
What?
That's their coach, Kelly Harper.
Kelly Harper. Pat Summit.
She played under Pat Summit.
Really?
Kelly Harper did.
Dude, you know who else played under Pat Summit?
Who?
I think, what's her name? The WNBA, Candace Parker.
Yeah, Candace Parker was at UT. We have her...
And half of the professional women's basketball players ever.
Yeah.
Simply, like, best program in history, in my opinion.
Yeah.
In basketball in general.
And women's basketball, yeah.
They rival Kansas, in my opinion.
And women's basketball?
Men's basketball. Men's Kansas back in the days.
Oh, you're saying...
Men's UCLA, even.
I was just talking about women's basketball.
I think in the basketball world, they're one of the best programs ever.
Really?
Ever. They're incredible. Pat Summit, best coach ever in women's basketball.
On God.
But, you know, Demi Washington, 16 minutes, 0 points.
L.
Sasha Washington, 2 Washingtons, 2 of them, 28 minutes. She didn't shoot that well. She had 2 points, 6 rebounds. It's a good team. Nobody popped off. Iona Moore, though, took a couple more shots. She had 15 shots, 17 points this game. A rebound, 2 assists, 2 steals. So, emerging. Brynne Alexander getting back into good shape at 19 points. 2 rebounds, 2 steals. Nice. But, we play these good teams. It's the SEC. SEC is a strong conference just in all sports, I think.
Yeah.
So it's going to be tough. You're going to have games in a row where you play ranked teams, and it's hard because we're a building team. But at this point, we're 12-14. That's a lot better than last year, I think. That's a lot better than we've been historically these past 5 years. We have the good coaching. We have the youth. So if we lose 4 games right now, long term, we're still growing. We're still, holding pretty tight to pretty good teams through 3 quarters, and then we lose in the 4th. Mm-hmm. We're still not that far from these much better teams than us. Like, objectively, they're so much better. I didn't get to watch any of these games, so I don't know any specifics besides the numbers in front of me.
I've watched every single men's game the past 4.
Really?
Yep.
I think I watched 2 of them.
You watched? Yeah.
I was at the Mizzou game. I had a sign that said Ms. Who?
He left me in the Mizzou game.
I did.
I asked him if he wanted to go, and he said, "Oh, I can't. I got stuff to do."
And then when I showed up to the things I had to do, they were like, "Oh, what we're doing is going to the basketball game." I didn't know that because they didn't tell me.
So he lied to me.
Well, I didn't lie.
He betrayed our friendship and trust.
I didn't know was the issue. But yeah, it was a good game. It was so much fun.
Yeah, I watched it on TV.
It was so much fun.
I watched it on my computer.
Atmosphere was incredible.
I was really sad.
There wasn't a thing missing from the game.
I saw.
It was ideal. The gameplay, the athletes, the student section, the people around me. I couldn't have asked for anything more out of that game.
No, I bet not.
Not a thing. I can't think off the top of my head of anything that would have made that game better for me.
You're right.
Nothing.
Nope.
Only additions would have only detracted from the experience. So, yeah. Next episode is just going to be me. Chris is having his own podcast. He's left me. This is the goodbye episode.
Next episode is Willem and I boxing.
But, yeah. So, we're growing still. I didn't get to watch the games, so I don't know any big things in particular.
We should go to a women's basketball game.
Yeah, I just haven't had time is the issue.
You don't have time for anything anymore.
Yeah, word. But, eventually we'll go to these things. Especially because they're a good team. Speaking in the big sense, I don't know if you touched on this, I kind of spaced out. Men's basketball, we have a good chance at the tournament now.
We talked about it.
Okay, we have a good...
What are we in the net?
Oh, actually, let me look up. And Anthony, my brother...
Your brother knows weird
things. He has a
things.
subscription to KenPom now.
He does?
Yeah.
Can we get that?
I think so. I'll have to ask him about it. So then, through these next few weeks,
call him on the pod.
Some good
call him on the right now on the
Should
pod.
I call him?
If you want. I'm gonna look up Vanderbilt net ranking. This is going. We're calling in Willem's brother.
KenPom. KenPom is a metric system made by this dude named Ken Pomeroy. He's a basketball analyst, and it's really good.
Where do you find the net rank? Oh wait, 2022 net rankings and quad wins. Right now we're 77 in the net.
77 in the net, which is higher than we used to be. That's a gain.
Well, you'd think, isn't it the top 64 teams? Oh, I guess you have automatic bids.
Exactly.
But,
upsets, Cinderella teams. Typically, if you're a top 55 team you're in.
Really?
If you're in a weak conference, it's a little different. We're in the SEC. I think there's no way we're going to win the SEC tournament.
No, of course
not.
But
I think if we win these next few games and have a solid tournament, then we've got a good shot at the national tournament, March Madness.
So, in terms of, we have 3 quad 2 games and 2 quad 1 games coming up.
Really?
Yeah, those are our last games. They're Texas A&M quad 2, Q1 Alabama, Q1 Mississippi State, Q2 Florida, and Q2 Ole Miss. If we can win out and get another 3 quad 2 wins and 2 quad 1 wins, I mean, that's got to boost us up the net rankings pretty far. I don't know if it'll get us the top 55, but...
2 quad 1 wins and 2 quad 2 wins? That's...
Oh, no, it'd be 3 quad 2 wins.
3 quad 2 wins?
We play Florida, Ole Miss, and Texas A&M in terms of...
I think all of those are winnable games.
And then Alabama and Mississippi State.
I don't know about without Rod. Without Rodney, it's going to be really hard. But, like...
If we can do it, though, I think that we have a chance.
Oh, yeah, we're a tournament team if we get those wins. Because if we get 2 quad 1 wins right now...
It's just...
How many quad 1 wins do we have so far?
2.
2, exactly. That doubles our quad 1
Arkansas and LSU.
I forgot Arkansas's quad 1. How many quad 2 wins do we have?
1.
1?
Or 1 and 2.
Wow, that would be an incredible resume boost.
Yeah.
I think if we win these next few games from the tournament, no matter what happens in the SEC tournament, we will go to March Madness if we win all of these games. But that's assuming we're going to beat the former number 2 team in the nation.
What's hurting us is our losses to Temple, and then we lost to South Carolina when they were a quad 3 team.
Ew.
And then we lost to them as well as when they were a quad 2 team. Anyway, that's pretty much it. There's also our spring tennis. They've gone 4-0 so far.
Really?
Yeah, they have. I don't know anything about them, but they're 4-0. I saw a Hustler
Is tennis
article.
Is it like doubles tennis?
I don't know.
Or is it like singles? Like the tennis team?
I don't know.
I don't know how it works. If you play tennis...
Come on the pod. Talk to us about it. But I don't know if there's anything else. Is there anything else? Do you have anything?
No. Baseball game Friday?
We have a baseball game tomorrow.
That is tomorrow.
And we're going to be at least at part of all 3.
Yeah.
We're going to be at most of our game tomorrow, and I might make Willem be late by tying him to the bleachers and finishing the game. We'll see. And then Saturday and Sunday, I know we'll at least be there for an hour. So it'll be a lot of fun. We hope to see everybody there. It's going to be a great time at the Hawk. We'll get to talk about baseball and basketball next week. That'll be fun. So with that being said, this has been Show 'em the Door, and we'll see y'all next week. Bye.